Hi, we're sisters Elaine and Brenda.
Welcome to the Body Wealth Podcast, a space for conversation about the wealth that really matters.
Your best health. We're so happy to have Jazmyn with us today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. Would you take a second to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Jazmyn Boone. I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina, but I live in New York City right now, and I'm a full-time actor as well as a workflow manager.
Well,
Great,
thanks for
thank
being on the
you.
podcast. It's good to see you. So today we're going to be talking about body image. And I guess we want to start with, when's the first time you were even aware of your body or thought about your body in any kind of way?
I think the first time I was aware of my body was like probably early elementary school, because that's when we had to talk about like our bodies that are changing. That's when they split us up into classrooms. And it was like, here, girls, this is what's gonna happen to you. And the boys, they were like, oh, we found out that you guys have like multiple holes and whatnot. So they just excited to tell us. And that's the first time I was like, oh, there's an anatomy here. And then when my friends started going through like changes, I was really aware that I may not look like them anymore, or they may not look like me. Like there's separating us.
Any kind of negative or positive association with the way that you felt about your body then?
I think maybe in like middle school, because I think there was an emphasis on the TV shows I was watching at the time, like training bras.
Mhm.
And we were all bra obsessed. Like we really wanted a bra. Now, why? Don't know, but it just felt like it felt not girly. It felt like teenagery. It felt like almost womanly. So yeah, I felt like, oh, I don't want to be flat chested all my life. So I want a bra. Want something to fill in it.
Were there any external voices that were ever a factor in how you felt about or thought about your body?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a kid who like grew up in the 90s and 2000s, and the 2000s were brutal for everybody. There was so much like conversation about like you need to be this size or like skinny, or even when you used to watch like black shows, they'd be like, "Ooh, girl, your butt getting big," and it wasn't a compliment.
Right, right. Back then,
So
yeah.
yeah, it was like, "Ooh, I don't want my butt to get big," and we're like, naturally, most of our family have like wide hips and
Right,
like big butts. So like, how are we gonna stop genetics?
right.
But yeah, watching the shows and even from family members, you don't want to get wide like so and so, or you want to keep that slim figure because you're not gonna have it all your life. So
Mm.
yeah, I think there was a lot of talk about body, but not a lot of talk about like positive body image.
It's always beware of something, this negative thing that could come to pass if you're not
Yeah.
careful.
It's basically like a conversation like you're gonna deteriorate as you get older. So like be happy for what you have now and try to keep that
Ah.
as long as you can. Uh, but there's no way to keep looking like a kid. Like you're
Mm.
gonna start looking like a woman.
And that's not a bad thing.
Exactly. Like you don't want to look like a child. You want to look like the person that you're becoming. And that doesn't have like a specific look.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're an adult now. You're young.
Yeah.
So how, on a scale of 1 to 10, or however you want to describe it, how at peace or comfortable or confident do you feel in your body now?
Ah, that is an ever changing thing. I think if you would have asked me maybe like 2 months ago, I would have been like, "Ooh, this is not a great place to be in." Like, "Oh, I don't feel really, like, confident." But today, I feel like on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like a 7.
Okay.
Like, feel excited and I feel hopeful for my body and, like, the changes that I want to see, but also accepting what it looks like now. But it's an ever-growing journey for me.
And what are the factors that affect that variability in how you feel?
Menstrual cycle, if I'm in the middle of that, the bloating makes me just imagine myself to be completely distorted. I can't really like see myself well. Um, but also if I've been meeting my goals for like going to the gym, if I've been meeting my goals for like my eating habits, any external stress from like work or my social life unfortunately have a huge impact on how I see myself,
Mm.
and even more like social media. It's a conversation I've been having with my therapist about how much social media can warp your idea, or specifically my idea of myself, or like who I think I should be looking like.
So how do you manage that?
Getting off of it, getting
Real
off of
simple,
it,
real simple.
uh, taking breaks when need be. I think social media is a great tool for, exposing yourself to different cultures. As an artist, it's great for like marketing and like branding and stuff like that. Um, for like casting to be able to reach you and see what kind of person you are. But it does have a detriment on personally for me, like my self image. So lessening how often I use it or being more cognizant of how I'm using it.
Okay.
I think that's been helping me.
So how have your personal goals for your body changed, like from when you were in high school, then college, and then, right out of school and now?
Yeah. I think high school, I was so obsessed with like boobs. I just wanted boobs. I think it was like very simple. I want boobs like other teenage girls. Like I felt, unfortunately, it was a lot of like male attention centered.
Mhm.
So you want to be seen as like attractive, and you want people to look at you and be like, "Oh, she's fine." Um and as I got older, I think a lot of that remained true. A lot of my college years were spent like looking at my body as a way to be attractive to men.
Mm.
Um and as I'm getting older, I have really enjoyed like compliments from other women about like how I carry myself within my body.
Mhm.
um, I find those to be more impactful. So when I'm looking at like my goals for myself, it's less about how you look on the outside and how you feel about yourself on the inside, which is difficult. It's extremely, extremely difficult, but it requires like radical honesty with myself about if these are things that I want to change. Like if I want to go to the gym because I don't feel great at this weight, that's okay. That's okay to do that. But make sure that the aesthetics aren't the only reason you're going.
Yeah.
It's because I wanna feel good on the inside. I like to feel accomplished. I had a goal that I set that I can really fulfill, and then all those things will come shining through.
Or like knowing what your body can do, wanting your body to be
Exactly.
able to do certain things and then
Oh
doing the
my
things to
god.
keep it there.
Yes, because if I can bend down and, like, pick things up off the ground when I am 70, 80,
Mhm.
that is all the work I've been doing is it.
So what kind of physical activity do you do to maintain your body?
I love weightlifting. I am a girl who will, sing it to the hills, let everybody know the joy of weightlifting. It makes me feel strong. It makes me feel like I'm a badass.
Mhm.
Like I just go in the gym and you see the gym bros in there and you're like, "Psh, yeah, I'm pushing weight too. Like nothing. It's easy. But I've switched more to cardio now. It's helping me, focus and work on endurance. I work on so much with weight training that I sometimes forget about endurance and making sure that like, I have a great heart rate.
Yeah.
So cardio has been very helpful for just getting back to that.
Yeah, heart health is really important because that's a factor
Yes.
in our community that a lot of people have heart disease and issues, so that's good that you're thinking about that.
Oh, absolutely.
So you mentioned that you're an actor, and so I imagine I don't know, I don't know nothing about it, but I imagine that's an environment where you may get lots of commentary on your looks and or your body. How do you manage that?
Um, yeah. I That has been a point of contention for me, when I read, like, things like breakdowns. So, a breakdown is basically just kind of like casting putting out, information about what they're casting for.
Okay.
So, the character, they'll say maybe is like, a cop, by the book, quirky, something like those adjectives. But I've noticed some of them say athletic build, thin, attractive, um, works out. And it's hard not to think like, I mean, I work out, but is that what they're looking for? Do I have like an athletic build? I consider myself athletic,
Right,
but what is an athletic build?
right.
And it's very clearly fat phobic because they're
Mm.
talking about like, oh, you want to look trim and slim, and I'm like, because then they'll also say attractive, trim, slim, as if those things
Are
like
all
are the only things that can be attractive.
And that they're synonymous, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's been difficult to try to undo a lot of the internalized fat phobia that has made a home in the entertainment world.
Mhm.
But I think I'm working through it and making sure that I put emphasis on my talent and my craft and my skill and less on my body. Because if casting doesn't like my body, that's not my problem. That's
Good.
them.
Has there been a time in your life where you felt like you were not fat, but overweight, or you were trying to lose weight?
Oh, absolutely. I remember in high school, they were doing the blood drive. And, high school, you're like 16, 17. I'm only 5 feet. So back then I was like maybe 100 pounds.
Right.
So, you can't give blood unless you're a certain weight. And they said for my height, I would have to be like 130 pounds to give blood. Back then I thought 130 pounds, I could never be that big.
Right.
And then when you get past it, you're like, oh, is this what it means to be large, especially for my height?
Uh-huh.
So there have been many moments where I felt like, oh, wow, you're large. You're not thin, and then it goes into the whole thing of like, you're not thin, you're not pretty, nobody
Mhm.
thinks you're like beautiful, things like that. Um, but yeah, it's taken and it still takes a lot of work to really address those things and get to the heart of them.
We've got to get away from guidelines that say this number for this height because there's so many other factors that make you healthy.
But we don't even, like, really take that into consideration. A lot of us aren't really talking about health when we talk about our body image.
Mhm.
We're talking purely about aesthetics,
Yeah.
and what's, like, pleasing to other people, not about, like, what is actually healthy.
So your girlfriends or potentially boyfriends or anyone else, how have they affected your own personal view of your body? Or have they?
I hate to say it, but, when you're around other women, you can't help but to compare yourself. I think when you're around other people, you can't help but to compare yourself. So to see, like, my weight kind of fluctuate over the years and to feel like my friends have not had that huge, like, weight gain, it's felt difficult at times. I think there's a photo of me and 2 of my close friends from college where we're just, like, hanging out on the couch, and I have a pillow over my body
Mm.
because I don't want someone to see my full body
Mhm.
and then compare me to 2 people that I perceive to have great bodies.
Oh, wow.
Um So it has never been, like, something that my friends have talked about or they've said, like, "Oh, yeah, no, like, you look so great, you're so beautiful, this and this and that." They give me wonderful affirmations, but, you can't help but to compare. But in terms of, like, partners, luckily, I haven't run into anybody who's like, "Yeah, I want you to lose weight." No. Um I've luckily been with many people who have said, "You're beautiful. Like, what if you want to change anything, that's fine, but I just wanna reinforce it. You're already beautiful, so whatever you do to enhance or do whatever, it's only gonna make you even more beautiful."
Oh, you're
So,
picking well. You're picking well.
Yes,
Very
very
good.
well.
no, I think they just are they just talk very well.
In that area, they know the right thing to say. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. They know how to charm me.
Well, one of the things I think is really sad is in almost any group of women, you're looking at these girlfriends saying, "Oh, they've got the bodies that are ideal," or whatever, whatever. If you get in their head, they're probably doing negative self-talk too. And that's why I think it's really healthy for us to just all stop it because people think they're too skinny, people think they're too short, people think they're too heavy. I don't really know very many women who just never do that, and I wanna be one of those women.
Right? That's the goal.
How do we get there?
We I hate to say this, we have to decenter men. We can start
Yeah,
there,
and
okay.
silence their voices in our head.
Yes, because I think if we stop looking at ourselves from the male gaze and we
Mhm,
start looking at it from, let's say, like the female gaze, there's more, in my opinion, there's more range for what it means to be like feminine or what it means
Mm.
to like look womanly or just what it means to have a body in general.
Or acceptance of what is.
Exactly. It's like just you have a body. Do you feel comfortable in it? Do you feel good in it? Do you feel like You can do all the things that you want to do with this body.
I think that's
Great.
the
Let's
key. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Focusing on what your body can do for you versus what it looks like.
So, have you thought about if you ever were a mother, how you would try to influence or help your daughter to have positive thoughts about her own body
Yeah. I I
and
think
son, for that matter?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Good point.
No.
Yeah.
My kids need to just like feel comfortable in their skin. I don't want to be my children's first bully. I don't want them to like walk out into the world already criticizing themselves. I know that the world is going to give them reasons to do that. So I would hope that like at home they feel like they're not met with criticism. They're met more with like curiosity
Hmm.
and that they can extend that curiosity to themselves. Um but yeah, I've been thinking about motherhood a lot. I think a lot of my friends were of a similar age and we're all thinking about what motherhood would mean for our own bodies,
Hmm.
as well as like producing a body and how we would kind of like love on ourselves and try to heal our own childhood wounds by, setting up this child to love themselves in a way that maybe we weren't radically able to do when we were younger.
Hmm.
And I know it's a large feat to try to instill this type of huge love for yourself, but I would at least hope that I could start creating a foundation where my child knows that like I can come back to home, which is themselves, and feel encouraged to push through and to love on themselves a little bit more.
That's beautiful. I mean, just being intentional and thinking about it already, you're going to be able to do it because you're going to be parenting purposefully, and not as just a reaction. So that's really beautiful to hear.
I hope so. I hope so.
But something else you brought up too is um, becoming a mother is something that actually physically changes your body a whole lot. And I think that we have not really embraced the changes that our body goes through, not just when you're pregnant, but even afterwards. Very few people have the same body after a pregnancy that they had before. So, being able to learn how to embrace that and be grateful for your body because
Yeah.
producing a human is a huge feat,
Mm.
and expecting it to be the same before and after is a little unrealistic.
Yeah. It's weird that in that regard, like motherhood, we expect change in every other aspect of our lives. But
Mhm.
for some reason, when it comes to motherhood, we expect there to be like no change with our body. Like
Right.
ever changing. But it's like, "Oh, you need to get back to, how you were before." How do you do that?
Isn't there
You
a
can't
term?
do
There's
that.
some term, not snapback, but there's a thing people talk about. Oh, she got back quickly or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
it's the snapback. They want you to snap
stop it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Mm-mm.
What do you mean? Like, for almost an entire year, your body was fully focused on creating life inside of you,
Right.
and now you're supposed to, like, snap back to who you were? No.
Mm-mm.
No. The conversations I've had with myself about, like, are you even prepared for what a child can do to your body?
Mhm.
How are you gonna set yourself up for success when you don't feel at home in yourself? Or even afterwards, like, these are huge conversations we all have, and I'm hoping that it goes well, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just hoping for the best.
Well, we
Yeah.
had a woman on the podcast who talks about before she even started trying to get pregnant, how she was sort of training her body and getting in shape, not for the snapback, but so that she could have a healthy pregnancy and that she
Yeah.
would be comfortable and well during the pregnancy and, like be strong for the delivery. And I thought that is so smart,
Yeah.
just from giving yourself the best chance of having a comfortable pregnancy and comfortable delivery when you know what's coming. That's a good tip.
And then thinking about after you have the baby trying to snap back, which is crazy because first of all,
You're
you're a
mothering
mother and you're taking care of a
a
child.
newborn.
You don't get
Yes.
any sleep hardly.
Right.
So just having that as a goal is not a good thing at that time, I
Mm,
don't think.
mm-mm.
Exactly. I've heard stories of women who, they forget to take showers, they forget to eat because they're solely focused on keeping this child alive.
Right.
And you want me to like think about how I look right now?
Mm,
Well, I was thinking about the feminine sort of archetypal body and figuring out whose goal is that, or should it be anybody's goal?
So we have all these ideas of what it means to be feminine, but like who came up with these ideas? Like some white man from
Mhm.
Europe who
Right.
saw his mom and his sisters and all the women around him and said, "Yeah, that's what women need to look like. That is the goal." And then you look back at, I don't know, people in Africa or even like people African American folks today, and we're like, my family doesn't look like that. So that's not what beauty looks like to me.
Good.
Like
Yeah.
beauty looks like a black woman who has like a different body.
Mhm.
And it can look a lot of different ways because my mom had a dear friend, Mrs. Jackson, who was just genetically very thin. That
Yeah.
was just how she was. Black woman, very thin. And she was the one who woke me up to the fact that she was on that other side of the struggle where people would make fun of her skinny legs and people would say
Yeah.
things and so the range of what is the beauty, even though it evolves, it's like there are people who are always going to be outside of it on either end or on many
Yeah.
dimensions. And so I think the more we can kick that stuff out of our brains, the healthier we will be.
I think it's really easy to like forget about the people on the margins. And so that's a great reminder that there are people that kind of like live in many different spaces
Mhm.
within what it means
Mhm.
to have a feminine body.
Right, right. So, if you had a girlfriend who expressed to you that she was struggling with her body image, what might you say to her?
Um, this is so cheesy, and this is not something I came up with. I've seen this many places. It's tough, but I would challenge her to look at herself naked in the mirror and for like 1 full minute,
Mm,
take herself in and then be able to say like start off with 3 things that she likes about her body. Not to go to the negative first, like 3 things that you like about yourself.
nice.
And try to do that as often as you can because it helped me to just be comfortable looking at myself. Um, and then it kind of made me feel more in love with my body a little bit.
Mm.
Now, always a consistent thing, no, but it's great to have that like reminder that like, you know what, that dimple is kind of cute.
Right. Some appreciation for
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
what you
then
have.
to journal
Mm.
the things that she feels about her body, whether they're good, bad, or in between. Just like write it down on paper and have that time with yourself. As much like time with yourself is the thing I could suggest,
Mhm.
uh, and
I
less voices on the outside.
I have a question about journaling because I know everyone says it's great, and I haven't really gotten into it that much. But when you journal and you write all this stuff down, how often do you go back and look at it? And is that part of the purpose of it, or is just writing it down?
I've gone back and read journals and have had many mixed feelings. I don't go back and read them like immediately after or like a week after I write them. I normally kind of like let them rot there and I'm like, okay, so those are all your feelings you had. I don't want to really look back on it. Um, and you know, some people it works to journal. I also do like video recordings.
Oh.
So like I just record memos to myself. Um, but I look back on them periodically, and sometimes I'm sad for, you know, the woman I was and she felt that way about herself. And then sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I needed that encouragement. Thank you so much for telling me that." Like, "Thank you. Thank you, past Jasmine. You were thinking about future Jasmine. Good job."
Little reminders.
I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be like at home with your body and being comfortable with your body and you know, it's easy for me to come from like a cis woman's perspective about what it means to feel comfortable. But I've also been having conversation with my trans and non-binary friends about what gender affirming care and conversation actually is. And so much of that feels like we just have to break the binary of what it means to like look feminine or masculine and just experience what it is to have a body and how you want to express yourself.
Mhm.
Because for I think we talk about like gender affirming care and we think of it as like we only at least in the conversations recently have been like talking about trans folks or non-binary folks. But gender affirming care is also getting like a boob job or a nose job or a hair
Oh,
transplant.
uh-huh.
Because it makes you feel more like yourself or more at home with yourself.
Okay.
And I think these are conversations that are necessary because if we look at care of our bodies in that way, we'll be more open to people that don't fit in the binary of what we believe to be like feminine or masculine. We'll just see them as like, oh, you're taking care of yourself because you want to feel more at home. That makes sense.
So this is really helpful, and that is a new frame for me. So I appreciate your saying that. But this is what it raises for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to get the gender affirming care they need.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like a nose job or something, we feel we need it because we're still trying to fit into a society defined definition of beauty. But I'd love your views on this balance between, getting the care you need to feel good in your body and decolonizing your concepts of what your body needs to be.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean, we want to be outside of it, but our society is like the way it is. So
Mhm.
how do you like live within it, but also be without it? It's like when people say, I want to be in the world, but not of the world type thing. That's
Mhm.
difficult to do. We just have to be more expansive about letting people take care of themselves in the way they feel like they need to.
Mhm.
And while I think some people do nose jobs because, I want to fit in with society or I want to, stick to the beauty standards. But if that makes them feel at home with themselves, who am I to say that like you can't do that?
No, and no judgment. Yeah.
In the bigger picture, we need to get rid of these boxes, and also with
Yeah.
the gender, it's like one or the other where we know it's a spectrum and we
Yeah.
don't have to put things in boxes. We can just let them be. If we could get there, which is hard, I know, because that's not where we're coming from, but I
It
think that could be the goal.
yeah. Let's break all the boxes open.
Yeah.
And they used to say that in like the 60s, free to be you and me, but we never got there.
We're still working on it. We're still working on it.
We're working on a lot of things.
Yeah. And we're going backwards on a lot of things.
So, Jasmine, how do you think being a Black woman has impacted your experience?
I think first I have to put a disclaimer out there. I am a light skinned woman. So when it comes to colorism, I live a different experience than like my brown skin or dark skin sisters. Like I know that when it comes to moving through the world or kind of like feeling attractive or getting attention from people based on like color, I know that's something I experience. I know that's a privilege that I have to carry and be conscientious of. So while I may experience things as like a Black woman that are derogatory towards Black women, it's a different degree. So I just have to put that out there
Mhm.
first. But it's hard being a Black woman and wanting to accept your body and love your body when so much of like the US does not care about like my physical self
Mm.
or it does things that either like fetishize me or exoticize my features. I think it's a difficult task to be a Black woman in this world and to love yourself. It feels almost like revolutionary to be a Black woman and to be in love with yourself when there's so many forces telling you that you're not attractive or you're not beautiful or that, we want to steal certain things that you have but put it on like a lighter skin.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I think it's a privilege to be Black and be woman. I think it's something I hope that I show people that I'm proud of when they see me and they see me move through spaces that, oh, this is a Black woman who's aware and happy and in love with herself. Um, I think it's a challenging thing, but I am so grateful that I was born a Black woman.
I'm glad you said that because I love being a Black woman and it's not always easy. It's often not easy. And both
Yeah.
those things are true.
Yeah, and I feel like you are treated as a revolutionary if you do show the love for yourselves and for ourselves. But you
Yeah.
know what? This is the time to do it. We
Yeah.
Yes,
have
it
got
is.
to just do
No
it.
other time but the present.
Thank you, Jasmine, for coming on with us today. It's been so fun to see you and talk with you.
Same, same. I love this.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. Want to hear our take on this conversation? Check out our After the Show episode right here. For resources related to today's topic, see the show notes.
If you want to support Body Wealth, please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd also love it if you give us a 5-star rating and write a review letting us know what you love about the show.
The Body Wealth podcast shares personal stories to inspire you. It does not constitute medical advice. For that, we encourage you to work with a trusted healthcare provider. We also want to remind you that the views expressed by our guests are their own.
This podcast is dedicated to our mother, Jean Fernandez Barbour, who showed us what advocating for yourself really looks like.